61 degrees, 8:34 is the time. It's AM 650, KGAB Radio. My name is Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. 3 men sitting in the studio, 2 of them well-armed. Appreciating that. We got Matthew Murphy sitting with me, Lieutenant Tim Roman, okay, and the other one is Sergeant John Gray. All with, now, what are your different divisions here? You're with...
I'm with the Cheyenne Police Department.
And you are?
I work with Wyoming Highway Patrol.
And you are?
I'm with YDOT.
Okay. So now all 3 of you guys coming together into the studio because apparently, and I remember we had a county commissioner in talking about Highway 30. Is this what we're talking about? Just getting busy out there? Is it getting dangerous? What's happening out there?
Yes.
It is. Okay. Thank you for coming in. I appreciate the time.
Yep, all done.
No, basically, okay, so what warrants that you guys want to talk about a highway? Is it getting that packed with trucks, or is it cars, or is it local traffic? Because I think the county commissioner told me when you guys check for speeders out there, it usually is the local guys, not so much the truckers coming through. So what's going on out there?
I could tell you my perspective on this is that, yes, with all the development, the building that's going on in East Cheyenne, now, you know, that brings a lot more traffic
right
to that particular area. You know, and more traffic, you have more opportunities to have crashes.
Okay.
If folks aren't paying attention to what they're doing.
So is a lot of congestion, 2 smaller roads? I mean, let's talk to YDOT for a moment. A lot of congestion, 2 smaller roads, or what do you think the problem is?
So we have a plan to widen US 32 5 lanes from Pershing to out towards, I think it's Railroad Road. Okay. Believe that's still scheduled for 2024. So that's based on projected future need. And so right now we're getting close to where we're going to need to do that project with all the development going on out there.
Yeah, but in the meantime, though, the more development, I think the development's coming in faster than the road is. Is that right? And the congestion's coming in faster than road, or am I reading that wrong?
I know just over the years with the additional development out there, we continue to see more traffic from Saddle Ridge or from some of the new stuff going on in Whitney and all that. But yeah, it's definitely putting more traffic where we're going to need those extra lanes in a few years.
Is it more dangerous? Is it just more stupid? What are we dealing with?
You know, we're dealing with a myriad of different things.
Yeah.
A lot of what we're seeing is people failing to use typical driving rules. Stop for a stop sign. Stop prior to a crosswalk. Use your turn signals. Slow down. Give adequate following space. You know, when you look at the driver's license manual for YDOT, one of the things they talk about is the following distance. Yeah. You know, if you look around town, you'll notice people follow each other too close. And that's a driver decision. That's not the car following another car too close. That's a driver making a decision to drive too close to another one and not give adequate reaction time, adequate stopping distance. You know, everything comes back down to poor decisions. We're seeing a lot of poor decisions, like the stop sign. It's not the car that's not stopping; it's the driver not stopping. Okay. The driver is the one that chose not to stop. We want people to realize that when you get into that 2,000, 3,000, 10,000 pound vehicle, even the 80,000 pound semis, you have to make good decisions. You got to think about what you're doing. Put down the cell phones. Stop. If the radio is distracting you, turn the radio off. If the air conditioning is distracting you, turn the air conditioning off. Roll your window down. Try to eliminate that distraction so that you make good and positive choices that don't endanger somebody else's life. So when we look specifically at the 30, you know, we see that those stop sign rules. Now, YDOT has done some things to help increase that and bring better attention. We've increased the size of several of the stop signs. We've painted stop bars. Right now, the speed limit is reduced due to the construction. There's going to be some construction for some offset turn lanes over on the Whitney and 30 area. So these are proactive maintenance constructions that we were able to do that allow us to have better and safer driving. But it ultimately comes down to the driver making a good choice.
I tend to notice that when it gets, because I've lived in major cities and little towns, the more congested it gets, the more aggressive people tend to get, the more of a problem. But you guys are out there every day. Is that just me? Am I noticing that right?
You know, I think that the more congestion that you do have, people do, in my experience, they do tend to take more risk than perhaps they would in less congested areas. Right. You know, and that's when, you know, you look at speed limits and speed studies and things like that. Those are all designed to have the maximum or the most efficient flow of traffic on the roadway. with that speed allowing cross traffic, giving openings for cross traffic to get through. Once you add more cars to that mix, now there's less gaps. Perhaps people do get more aggressive then to try and make that gap.
Okay, and I do what you were saying. People tend to drive a little too close. I've often thought driving that close to me doesn't get you there any faster. It's just not going to. In fact, sometimes it makes me slow down a little bit.
Absolutely. And if you stop to think about it in a logical point, if you are involved in a crash, you're going to be there at least an hour.
Yeah.
Even a simple crash that, you reacted wrong and you drove off the road and you hit something, you're probably going to be there in an hour. So was the reducing that gap and trying to speed up by 2 miles an hour or 5 miles an hour, is that really worth it? You just missed everything you could have been doing for the next hour.
Okay. With the stop signs that you see there, and you were talking about putting up signage like that and also warning people to slow down in certain areas. So are people paying attention to it, or are you going to have to rethink the strategy? What is the strategy for that matter?
A lot of it's to bring the attention and help with a more visible. It's not to say that the signs weren't visible before. Okay. It's just by going up in size, you create a more visible sign. And each roadway, when you look at it, signage is based off of federal rules and regs and then study of traffic volume. Now we have that, we post that, we've got it as big as we possibly can. So we've done radio, we're sitting in here with you today talking, we've put everything out on the paper. But at the end of the day, we've now done as much as we can to educate you and say, hey, please slow down, stop at the stop signs, check to make sure it's safe. So if you proceed through that, then if we're in the area, you very well likely are going to get stopped.
Pull them over. For those people who need a visual about this, let's explain exactly. This is Highway 30 we're talking about, from exactly where to where?
I think the section we're kind of focusing on, at least for this conversation today, is between Pershing and just past Saddle Ridge. Okay. So that's
that's just where we're expanding. In fact, I was talking to the mayor about expanding out that way, if I'm thinking about the right area, right? See, I've always had a problem with cell phones. This is the first radio problem I've ever had in a radio station. 61 degrees, AM 650 KGAB Radio. My name is Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. 3 gentlemen sitting in the studio right now. 2 law enforcement officers and 1 gentleman with YDOT, and they were talking about safety on US 30, which again, this area is located from where to where for the visual?
To just past Saddle Ridge.
Pershing to just past Saddle Ridge, and YDOT is going to be, but you're saying what, 2025 when they finally?
2024 is our plan to fully expand it to 5 lanes in both directions. Okay, and that'll be even beyond Saddle Ridge out toward the railroad bridge.
That's quite a bit. So construction right now, that's happening right now. So what's going on right now there?
So right now we are working on constructing, they're called offset right turn lanes, and kind of for visual, it just separates traffic that's turning right from US 30 onto Whitney Road, a little further off the main lane of travel. That'll give people turning left from Whitney to US 30 a little bit more sight distance looking down the road, and hopefully should help them make some better decisions with turning. And that project should be complete here within the next couple weeks. They're doing a lot of work this week, and should wrap up next week, weather permitting, of course.
Okay, on that, cones, workers, slower speed limit, and once again, people not quite paying attention to what they're doing as they head through the area. What are you seeing?
We're seeing a lot of speed infractions in that particular area. It is posted as a 45-mile-per-hour construction zone at this time. State law requires for any emergency vehicles on the side of the road, as well as highway maintenance vehicles on the side of the road, you have to slow down to 20 miles per hour below the posted speed limit on a 2-lane roadway, which this particular stretch of US 30 between roughly Hayes and Saddle Ridge, it is a 2-lane roadway. So what we're seeing is that when these maintenance workers are out there, we've increased our enforcement. We've spent about 20 hours just since the start of this month working in that area to help keep those road workers safe. And as we're out there, we're seeing, some of the speeds up to 60, 70 miles per hour, coming through 45-mile-per-hour construction zone. Yeah. We're stopped, pulled over with these folks. We still have people buzzing past us at 55 to 60 miles an hour, let alone those roadway workers from YDOT. So, I mean, it's definitely a problem. We've issued 26 speeding tickets for that particular area. We've issued several more for vehicles not slowing down for those maintenance vehicles as well.
See, now I take a look at it. first off, when I see a speed limit sign and I see workers out there, I'm thinking, if it says 45, that doesn't mean you have to go 45. You know, when I see guys sort of out in the road a little bit, I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to go slower than that because they're stepping out into the road working on something. So you can certainly slow it down. I think tell me if I'm doing this wrong, but what I do is I just keep my eyes up the lane that I'm on in case something steps out in front of me. That way I'm not looking to my left or right and, ooh, look at the big Tonka toys. I can't worry about the construction. I'm worried about what's in front of me.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and there's an old acronym, we call it SIPT.
Yeah.
Scan, identify, predict, decide, execute. What you were just saying, that's exactly right. You should always be scanning ahead of you.
Yeah.
You know, identify, you know, what's ahead of you, predict if something's going to happen, if one of those workers are going to trip and fall out to the road.
Yeah.
Decide to make an action, execute that action, you know, to keep those folks safe.
Okay. You're surfing through what?
Oh, just checking a couple of our state statutes here, because we're, you know, a lot of what we're talking about today, you know, we talk about the injury crashes we've seen, the fatalities. We talk about just the property damage crashes. And like the sergeant said, we've been out there, we've been enforcing the speed limits, we've been enforcing the stop signs. We talked about how this comes down to a driver decision. One of those decisions that you make, in fact, there's several of them, but one of them is put your seatbelt on, protect your people. So if you don't know, you as a driver, you're responsible for anyone that's under the age of 12. If you look at the YDOT driver's manual, it'll tell you that you're responsible for everybody in there. But when you look at the statutes, it actually defines it down a little further.
Okay.
You are responsible for everyone that's under the age of 12 in your vehicle, as well as yourself. So your 12-year-old kid that doesn't put on the seatbelt, yes, you as the driver need to make sure that they're buckled up. But that 12-year-old child can get a citation from us. We will write 12-year-olds and 13-year-olds tickets for not putting their seatbelts on.
So in other words, they're old enough to have made that decision themselves. I had never realized that.
Yes. So so if you're riding, and let's say you have your friend with you in the front passenger seat, they're responsible. They can get a citation instead of the driver. Now, if we stopped you for the speed or the stop sign violation because you rolled it, you know what? You're not going to get you're going to get a ticket for the stop sign, and you're not going to get $10 off the top of your citation, which is a state statute that allows for us to take that off, that actually any traffic violation, you get $10 off if all persons in the vehicle are properly buckled.
So the 12-year-old gets the ticket, then do you make them mow lawns to pay it? I mean, how does...
You know, that's a parenting decision.
That's a parenting decision there. Okay, lunch money, something like that. The kid's going to have to, okay.
But, you know, it's not unreasonable. It's a very inexpensive citation at about $10. Yeah. We get that for a 13, 14-year-old. That's a lifetime.
Yeah, that does get their attention at that age.
But that's a lifetime we hope they remember that for, because they don't lose their life for failing to buckle up when that would have been a preventative measure. The other things that we recommend too, and this makes total sense to everybody, is put your cell phone down. Inside the Cheyenne, there is some city ordinances. State law does prohibit against texting and driving. On a lot of the newer phones, there are some apps and some settings that you can do an automatic reply.
I have that, yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Why not? You know, blame us. Law enforcement says we can't text and drive. We don't care because you're not texting and driving. We want you to get to where you're going to be safely at the end of the day. Just, you know, stop messing with the dog or the kids in the car. You know, if you're eating food and it's causing you not to pay attention, stop.
Yeah.
Put down the distraction. Pay attention to what's in front of you. Look forward, like Sergeant said. Look up the road, like you were doing. Look up. Figure out what's going to happen in front of you. React to that. Slow down. Practice good following distances. People get enraged when others are tailgating them. You know, we recommend 2 seconds for a passenger car, 4 seconds for the bus style vehicles or that size, 6 seconds for a semi. You know, as your speed goes up, you add an additional second as the weather gets worse. You know, we're getting ready to get into the hail season and the rain. Think about hydroplaning. When you start getting up to the 50s and 60s, you run the chance of hydroplaning. Make sure you have good tread on your tires. Slow down when it's hailing. You know, if you pay attention to the weather, you listen to your radio station. You guys have been doing that all morning, putting out the weather. Listen to that. If we're predicting hail, pay attention to what you're driving into. Slow down prior to getting to it so that you still have traction.
Are you able just to give someone a ticket for stupid? Because I've been, no? Okay.
Well, not exactly.
Not exactly,
For example, the last blizzard that we had.
Yeah.
One of the ways that we approached it is if someone got stuck because they were out driving and they needed assistance, they had a high risk of receiving a citation.
Okay,
for
see,
careless
that's a
driving.
ticket. You can't say it's for stupid, but basically it's for stupid.
For poor decisions.
Yeah, okay, poor decisions. That's a diplomatic way. Gentlemen, thanks for coming in. I appreciate it.